Howdy, it's Matthew Pizgatti, and welcome back to the channel. Oh no, why is DRIP on the decline? Why is the price falling? We should probably panic about it. Or I could explain why I think it's dropping to begin with, and what that means for us. Should we be worried? And is this expected or not? And long story short, yes, I think it is expected, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, remember, sentiment about any of these protocols, any of these projects, they can turn on a dime, right? There's not a lot of rhyme or reason. I mean, there is a rhyme and a reason. If, say, you have a degree in psychology, I don't, but I know enough to kind of fumble my way through what I think happens and my understanding of other people and the way I understand financial systems and especially this DeFi space, which I've not been in for an extremely long time, but a lot of it boils down to what I was just saying, that these sentiments do change on a dime. They're not something set in stone. You have basically a wide. You know how you have amateur investors in stocks, things like that. It's like if that were the majority of stock investors, then you would see these wild swings in prices. You can kind of see this with something maybe like GameStop or something. You know, someone gets a sniff of something that's happening or what they think is happening, and you get this army of, say, Redditors or whoever it is, and they can swing the price. And I think a lot of that happens in these Telegram groups. I mean, the Animal Farm, the DRIP Telegram group. The Animal Farm Telegram group has what, close to 60,000 people. It's over 50,000 members in there. So in that way, when we see price swings, we know a lot of it's sentiment. It's what people are feeling about the protocol of the project at that time. So what happened on the long run, the long term, when we zoom out of DRIP? What's going on? Well, for one thing is that after April 1st here, when we started to see a pickup, we held over 30. So over the 30 BUSD to DRIP for a month. I mean, practically a month. We're just at the end of the month now, and we're seeing a swing down. So that's impressive. And what's happening during that time is we're gearing up for the Animal Farm launch. Most people know the dip is because funds are being allocated and pulled and claimed from DRIP, Faucet, and from the DRIP Garden, and all these things that affect the DRIP price. Those things are being claimed, and new capital money is not being added in there because they see the lower DRIP price, and no new capital is coming in because they're discouraged or kind of scared, from the FUD, from the negativity they see probably in any of the chats. If they were to join in the Telegram group chats, they're going to see all the negativity and back out immediately for the most part, unless they do a little bit more due diligence, right? So there's all of that at play. That's what's been keeping us pretty level, is that I think everyone really understood. We were holding our breath waiting for Animal Farm. Remember the first big dip for DRIP? It was on the rise when I joined in, and then Animal Farm and these other things were announced, like Piggy Bank. Everyone was waiting for Piggy Bank, and so at the same time, the whales in DRIP were a lot. We started to see some the big wallets cap out. They hit their maximum, where all they can really do is claim for the rest of their days, and so that's probably what they're doing. They're claiming, they're emptying out their big wallets. So we're going to see a DRIP drop because of that. A little bit of alliteration there. So these things all contribute, right? We're seeing this big down not only because of the whales maxing out their stuff, but also everyone was waiting for the Animal Farm. They were waiting for that to launch, and so we see that again. That everyone was waiting. Everything was hitting pretty steady, and then somewhere around that time, that's where we realize, hey, oh, the Animal Farm's not, or I'm sorry, the Piggy Bank is not being unpaused. Everyone's funds were paused for a month, and then Piggy Bank did not go live. There was an issue with the dogs contract. And I don't think that's directly the developer's fault at all. I think he did discover that later on and decided, hey, if we're going to switch dogs, now we can't really launch pigs because he needed to make some minor alterations to the pigs contract to accommodate the version 2 shift in dogs, because PancakeSwap was going to version 2, which everyone knew for a while. There's been that message on PancakeSwap for a while. I guess Forex, the developer team for DRIP and Animal Farm, didn't get that memo that emissions were going to stop. Meaning some of the staking contracts, things like that, where the system was making its money, those things stopped. So he now has to halt dogs and fix this. and then he can get Piggy Bank and all that launched. I just gave all his updates in the previous video. Go watch that if you want to hear from his own words exactly what happened and all the improvements he's going to be making. That's a lot of verbiage there. Just a long story short, again, to say that's what I think happened is the sentiment was kind of holding. People were doing okay, waiting for the piggy bank launch. Piggy bank did not launch, and that's where you see this drip now. And now we're below 30. Now you can go back to any of my older videos where I have this blue highlighted, or maybe even before that, because I think since the beginning of this downturn, which was around February, March, which is somewhere around when I got in. I got in at like 130. Like, kudos to me for buying in at the top, right? I think the long-term nature of this project, that doesn't matter. But I've been predicting this whole time, and I'm going to keep saying it time and time again. Not so much a prediction, but more of my own sentiment that I think we can hit these numbers. I think if we hit these numbers, and we can see we're already starting to touch 28. If we hit this where I've drawn this blue, like 28 to even as low as where it touched before, like 6.6. Like this whole range, I'm pretty comfortable with and think it's still very lucrative to buy. Like I think that's a good buying trigger for me, especially the lower it gets. Is I want a dollar cost average down, and then I want to keep compounding back into the faucet because as many people you've probably seen stated in comments and the like, depending on when you got in, I mean, drip could drop to what, like $10 or something. You'd still be making money. It's like it's on a longer timeline. It's going to take longer to ROI. It's going to take longer to get to your maximum, and in that longer time period, it could speed up or slow down. A lot could happen. I think if we hit those numbers again, we're going to swing upward. I'm not saying to go all in, or when it hits lower numbers, if it does. I'm just saying it will look very lucrative for me. Remember, I'm not telling you what to do with your funds. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just documenting my thoughts and opinions on protocols like this, and kind of talking about where I think they're going to head, what they're doing, and why. So all that's at play, right? The animal farm is, whether we like it or not, it's a separate protocol. I mean, it's a separate website and everything, but it's part of the ecosystem. Those who mainly, the main new capital into animal farm, into any of those systems on that side of things came from DRIP. I mean, we know that because it's the same developer. Everyone was excited for DRIP, and they were excited for the new shiny new toy, and they started claiming more. I'm guessing from DRIP and the farm and the garden and everything else. So that all makes sense to me to see that shift, and then it never really got off the ground because we had that pause with pigs. So those predictions I was making, hey, 2-3 months down the road, we should see a swing back up in DRIP, never got to happen because we've been paused for over a month. So, if in the next couple weeks we get this launched, we get Piggy Bank rolling, and all these improvements he's supposedly made for the pig pen and whatnot, that may be the new lucrative spot to be. But I still think DRIP will swing back upwards after those couple months. Because why? And I'll tell you, because in those couple months, let's fast forward 4 months from now. Where are we going to be sitting? Ideally, we're going to see that the animal farm is launched, right? I mean, the full animal farm, the piggy bank, the pig pen's back. It's churning out funds. It's printing for us. We love it. Piggy bank is time locked. We're waiting for our stuff to get out of there. Maybe some of our time locks start maturing, and sure, we could put more back in here. But if we're smart and we like the drip faucet, a lot of people know that it's already made millionaires. They're going to come back to the faucet. They're going to put more money in there. And they're just going to do a number of things that are going to help the price of drip head back upwards. And why? I was getting to that point as well. Because put yourself in that position. If you're 4 months down the road, piggy bank, animal farm, all that's chugging along smoothly. They also look over at the drip faucet, who unprecedented. I mean, this doesn't really happen in this space. Not very often. You have this miner type protocol, this mining protocol that is still printing, is still sustainable, still is running over a year. We just hit the year anniversary, right? So at that point, let's say we're a year 4 months, a year 6 months, and nothing's happened. There's not been any major exploits like some of these claim they have. There's not been a rug pull because the developer's doing a good job. Of course, you're still going to trust the faucet and head back that direction, right? That's your base. That's the guaranteed 1% a day, no matter what the value of DRIP is, you're getting 1% of your DRIP amount deposit, the amount of your deposit in DRIP, you're getting 1% a day, up to 365%. And that increases the more you deposit. The more you deposit and compound back in, the more your 1% daily is going to be, right? I'm seeing that climb, and the power of that compounding interest is just amazing. It's very intensive, and it has a lot of long-term potential. So that's what I'm asking you to kind of visualize is if we can get Animal Farm off the ground fully again. That's what we've been waiting on. I mean, that's why this dip makes perfect sense, and that's really my point here, is that these dips make sense. There's a reason for them. If you go on any of these like kind of whatever sites where you see so much of that fear, uncertainty, doubt being spread around, it's not really based on numbers, and I think that's my problem. It's not usually based on numbers. It's based on sentiment. People see a downward trend and they're gonna get scared. And maybe with good reason. Maybe they were expecting to lock their stake in, but they were expecting to ROI much quicker. And you can't really do that if the price keeps dwindling, right? I mean, you can't ROI in the time frame you wanted to ROI in, and that's frustrating, and that drives a lot of that sentiment. I just don't think going into the chats and everything, complaining about that really does anything for us. Now, what can we say about the developer, by the way? I've not seen any proof, evidence, inkling of a rug pull, of a big exploit, of him taking your money and running. I've not seen any of that, and there's been opportunity to do that. And, from hearing his AMAs and how he's made his funds, he already has a lot. He has enough. If he wanted to, he could go retire on some island somewhere and just, sip on the little umbrella drinks, which sounds really good right now. I wish I had a coconut to fill with such a thing. But, he could do that at any time. I've not seen any inkling or inclination to tell me that, to indicate that I should be worried in that regard. So with none of that at play, which could happen any day, right? I could always be wrong. All these things are a huge gamble. Overnight, he could decide to do whatever. Who knows? That's just DeFi. That's just the Wild West. That's freedom. That when you choose who you trust, and if you don't trust them, you shouldn't give them your money. And that's just basic common sense. But I've not seen any inclination to make me feel that way, right? So without that, and if there's no numbers to back up these claims of, DRIP's going down, then I think it's just long term like it has been. And we don't have a lot to go off of. We do have a year, at least, of data. But, I mean, these guys chilling down here where it was dropping from, let's say you bought in at, 24? You're probably pretty depressed when it got down to, 7. And I'm sure there was all that negative sentiment. And then there was this bump. And then people were probably kind of okay. And then there was a bump. And then a bump. And, then it exploded. And then in each of these dips, I'm sure we saw just as much. I wasn't here yet. But when it dropped from 80 to 55, that just compounds upon itself because all the people who were just holding the token, they sell out. They're like, oh, no, I'm not taking that dip. I'm not taking that ride. They'd already made so much from, down to, let's say you were at 20 and then you bumped up to 88. You start panic selling when it drops to 55 because you want to keep your profits. That's just how these things work. So my point with all of this is that the dips make sense. There's reasons for the dips, and I think a lot of it has to do with Animal Farm, Piggy Bank not launching properly, and then a pause for a month, and then another launch that didn't go as planned. I don't think it was necessarily the developer's fault, but what is his fault? What is his fault? And we'll all keep coming back to this. And I hope even Forex would admit this, even though he's been a little arrogant in some of the AMAs, is that he doesn't communicate, right? He's not been good at keeping up communication. And that's his bad. He's been focused on all the development perhaps, but with all that extra funds in the contracts, and he could allocate some PR funds, and he really should. And that's not been happening. So that's his biggest failure in my mind, is just not allocating funds to have someone to communicate and pass on those updates from him. Once a week even, or once every 3 days or something like that. You got the CEO of the Seifu, Brian Legend, that guy going out on YouTube like almost every day giving updates and running giveaways and all this. Now, to be fair, I don't think Brian is I don't know how much development he does. I don't know if he's the main developer or if he has other people doing that, but he's doing a good job as the face of Seifu. he's doing a good job there and keeping people trusting his project and getting more people to invest. That seems to be going really well for him. That price really hasn't taken a big tank, a nosedive. It's not been around very long, not as long as Drip Faucet for sure, but he's doing a good job representing. And I think we can all agree that Forex should do a better job of that. Now, if you look at my last video updates of Forex from the Telegram chats, should be the one I posted just before this, I think. You can see that he is, when he's not in full development mode, when he's just trying to fix those few things with his development team, he's doing better. He's publishing Medium articles about the new improvements. He published a couple different articles. He's been giving AMAs for like 2 weeks now. Just AMAs almost every day. If he could keep up a pace like that, or just try to like dole it out every now and then, more often than he has been, that would go like a 10x, towards helping his image and helping people trust the project. It would go a long, long way. So that would be my only recommendations for him and his project and the way he's running that. But all that being said, this has been a pretty long-term sustainable project, which is pretty impressive. The amount of time it's ran so far, it's impressive in the DeFi space at least. And then I think all those dips are justified. In conclusion, I think all of those are, the sentiment makes sense. I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm saying I see why it's happening. So that's why we're seeing this drop again. People are just kind of probably fed up with those false launches. They want to go put their funds in somewhere else, so they're claiming for now. And I think that's going to happen. They're going to claim out where they can and try to ROI if they haven't, and maybe they'll stick that fund somewhere else until Piggy Bank launches, and then give it a few months after Piggy Bank actually launches and all this is running again, and I think we'll see an upswing, and I'm hoping on it. I'm counting on it really for my garden because I keep compounding every day, just exploding in plants. How many am I making a day? I'm making wow, I'm already up to, I'm gonna make almost 100 a day now. That exploded really fast from like the 60, 50 range. That compounding is no joke. If you run the math on any of that, like that compounding's insane. It really starts speeding up. Anyway, I'm making 100 new plants a day, and we talked about this in these old videos and such that I've made. But sure, we're down to 30 cents per plant, or at least for this much of seeds worth. But I'm making 100 plants worth of seeds a day now. So all we need is DRIP BUSD to swing back upward. This dip is what's causing your garden to not be profitable. I'm hoping you're seeing an increase in LP every day if you're doing nothing but compounding. I know some of you are not. We've already kind of established that. I think some of mine's referrals. But if we see this DRIP BUSD start swinging back upward, I think we can get enough people promoting in a positive way, because I don't even feel confident. Even though I feel pretty confident for myself, I can never get on here and just tell someone 100% go into the garden. So until we see DRIP BUSD start heading back upward, and I hear from people that they're kind of heading upward on making profit again, I'm not going to recommend it. Maybe other like skeevy kind of video makers would. But anyway, I think the contract balance will head back up as a result of the DRIP BUSD raising, which again I would expect after a certain number of months after Animal Farm Piggy Bank actually gets up, launched, and running. And that's my prediction. Again, this is not financial advice. You're going to have to do whatever you would like to do with your money. No one can tell you what to do with it. And this is just a random guy's opinion with no financial background other than having run or been a part of corporate projects at work for a many number of years, as many of us have. So, all that being said, hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe if you did. Other than that, join the Telegram if you have further questions. It's easier to get to things in there because there's at least 80, 90 people in our Telegram now, and they can always chime in and help if I don't know the answer or I'm not available. YouTube comments are fine as well, of course. And I look forward to seeing you guys on the next video. Hope you're staying safe out there, and thank you for watching.